Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Judy Garber. I'm with Women in Energy, and we have our guest today, Jody Moore. Jody is the Marketing and Brand Strategy Specialist for Consumer Focus. And her topic today is going to be how to elevate service standards to gain and retain customers. So I'm going to turn it over to Jody and thank her for doing this on our behalf.
Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you, Women in Energy, for hosting this session. As Judy mentioned, I'm Jody Moore, Marketing Brand Strategy Specialist with Consumer Focused Marketing. I'm fortunate to have a long history in customer service, and I get to keep my skills sharp in my current role, where I work with oil and propane companies on consulting and marketing strategies. So today I will be discussing customer service, its somewhat recent decline, and how you can elevate your service standards to gain and retain customers. So if you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to enter them into the questions box when they come to mind, and I'll be happy to answer them at the end. So without further ado, let's jump in. In this webinar, we'll touch on a handful of important topics, including do's and don'ts of customer interactions, practical techniques to help strengthen communication and prevent misunderstandings, techniques for handling difficult situations, strategies to keep customers coming back for more, and action items that you and your team can implement right away. So let's start by addressing the problem. Customer service has taken a nosedive recently. Some people mark COVID as the start of the issue, and to be fair, it did, have several contributing factors. But the problem actually started far earlier than 2020. So 74% of people reported having a customer service issue in 2022. But this is part of a long-term trend, having more than doubled since 1976, when the figure was only 32%. Common issues include longer wait times and inaccessible support. For example, many businesses continue to use the excuse of high call volume to justify long wait times, which are actually often a result of staffing shortages. But rather than hiring more people or backfilling open positions, many employers are trying to pinch pennies by warning customers that they may have to wait longer than normal, and expecting employees to work harder, faster, and more efficiently for the same pay. Another issue is automated response systems and eventual disconnection. Companies have increasingly shifted to automated self-service options, which makes it harder for customers to speak with a representative. My pharmacy recently made it nearly impossible to talk to a real person, which is important if you have a question or anything specific to ask. I also find post offices very difficult to get on the phone, which is frustrating when you're trying to figure out if they're open for the holiday or if they offer a certain service that you're looking for. And don't even get me started on disconnection, automated phone disconnection. Customers frequently report having to wait on hold for extended periods only to be told, try again later, and then have the call disconnected. Airlines, I find to be famous for long wait times, and unfortunately, some of them are starting to implement automated disconnection. Once I was on hold for 5.5 hours, just going about my evening routine, and I got into a dead end loop with the automated system that ended up disconnecting me. And I just almost lost it. It was so frustrating. But other issues too began long before COVID. Reduced staffing and lower quality of interaction is a long-term trend. Apparently, 53% of businesses believe that their customers are satisfied with these self-service options, but only 15% of consumers agree. Lower skilled support is also an issue. Due to that high employee turnover and the great resignation of 2021, Many customer service teams are staffed with less experienced and undertrained personnel. The increased cost of living is another factor, which is causing employers to push tipflation, which is the expectation of tipping extending to quick service or retail, often where service levels simply don't warrant it. This leads to consumer frustration and guilt, neither of which are good feelings to have. And this is often to compensate for the increased cost of living, which these companies are trying to compensate for and pass along to their customers rather than increasing employee wages. More staff turnover is another issue, and the reduction of training and experience. So 78% of customers find themselves contacting companies more than one time to solve a single issue, indicating a drop in what we refer to as first call resolution, which we'll talk about more later. Also, with more people spending more time at home compared to pre-COVID, these people need more heating fuel and air conditioning, and they become more easily agitated and short-fused when they don't feel like their needs are being met. These issues are causing a cycle of rage-inducing interactions where 43% of customers reported yelling or raising their voices to express displeasure, which is up from 35% 10 years ago. And we can assume, honestly, the 43%, the number is probably even larger since many people wouldn't admit to letting their temper get away from them. So this, again, vicious cycle causes reduced empathy because service workers are feeling more like punching bags for customer frustration, and that reduces their ability to provide empathetic and personalized service. So what? What's the big deal? Why does it matter? It's clear, I think we all can agree that customer service is declining over time. But another important piece of the puzzle is being able to justify why we should bother investing time and energy into fixing this issue. So let's answer that question. First, competition is fierce. Most homeowners have a variety of options when it comes to choosing a fuel or HVAC company. If they don't feel listened to, they will go somewhere else. And you'll probably hear about it in the form of an online review. Next, technical experience alone is no longer a guarantee of customer acquisition and loyalty. You also have to offer the soft skills that get you the opportunity to flex the technical skills in the first place. And lastly, exceptional customer service gives you a leg up on everyone else. It sets you above the rest. Plus, if you continually provide great service, customers will be more understanding of, the odd misunderstanding here or there, or the odd mistake. I was reading an article recently from Forbes. In 2024, they reported that bad customer service could cost organizations around the world 3.7 trillion with a T dollars annually. They surveyed 30,000 customers across 26 countries. And this is up 600 billion from a similar study only 1 year earlier. So this aligns with our metric of customer service issues increasing over time. So this begs the question, what is bad customer service costing your company? So let's dive into some simple, effective, and proven methods for elevating each interaction, starting from the customer's very first impression. So first, do's and don'ts. Do respect the customer. Duh, obvious, right? But let's go further. One of the key principles of relationship building is to make the customer feel important. So this means showing up on time, introducing yourself, checking in about what they need, setting realistic expectations about what they can expect for the remainder of the visit, providing updates and following up when you promise that you will. Not every call will result in that one call resolution we were talking about. But if let's say you don't know the answer to something, you don't try to fake it. They say fake it till you make it. Don't do that. They'll see right through you, right? And it reduces trust. So be honest and tell them, that's a great question. I will be happy to find out and get back to you. And then do, right? Do get back to them. And speaking of getting back to customers, being sure to manage follow-ups in a way that works with you and aligns with company policy is very important as well. So let's say your follow-up time, rolls around and you're still working on it. Reach out to them. Let them know, hey, Mrs. Jones, I don't have an answer for you yet, but I haven't forgotten about you. I am working on it. And I'll follow up again tomorrow when I hear back, or by the end of the day. Also, before leaving, let's say you're at the customer address and you're ready to head out, let the customer know what was accomplished, recommend any other improvement suggestions that you noticed, and ask them if there's anything else you can help with before you go. Also, don't forget to express your gratitude for their trust in you and your company to service their home. All right, next on the slide, don't take customer frustration personally. We've all worked with a, cranky customer. We've all probably been a cranky customer at times. Sometimes the customer is grumpy because they had a hard day at work. Other times it's because their air conditioner has been broken for the hottest weeks of the year and they're just desperate to find someone to fix it. Ultimately, the reason itself doesn't matter all that much. You just have to fix the problem. What you can't do is take the complaint personally and get defensive about it. Easier said than done, I know. But always do your best to put yourself in the customer's shoes and consider how they are feeling. We have no idea really what people are going through, so we should make an effort to maintain positive, friendly, and understanding in every interaction. So, as tempting as it might be to fight back, instead, be prepared to apologize on behalf of the company and to help the customer get the issue fixed as quickly and efficiently as possible. Next, do listen to customer feedback. If you see the same complaints or critiques over and over from multiple people, you've been given a golden ticket, Charlie Bucket. The knowledge of a sticking point that's preventing your business from growing, helping more people, and ultimately accumulating more revenue. Listen to the complaints or critiques and look within your business to find the root cause of the problem and then address it. This might be additional training, a process update, maybe even adding a new product. Many companies, at least in my experience, don't seem as focused on customer feedback lately and are more inclined to spend time and energy focusing on operations and cost saving measures. Those are important too, of course. We all like our annual bonus check, but listen to customer feedback too. Customer-led improvements are a great way to make your company stand out by showing patrons that they are appreciated. And we'll talk about this more later on, but in addition to just listening, being able to empathize and remind the customer that they're talking to a human too. You know how they feel, and you would feel the same way in their position. Also, difficult customers can actually become your biggest brand advocates. Many difficult customers know that they're particular. We'll call it particular. But when you are able to meet or exceed their expectations, chances are they'll stick around the longest and show the most loyalty because you have earned their trust and they know you will deliver what they need. They don't want to have to start all over with another company. They're also oftentimes the customers who will talk positively about you, potentially referring even more business to you. And then last one, don't overcomplicate things. Most people working in the HVAC and fuels industry are technical humans, and that's a good thing, right? We need technical people to keep things up and running. But we have to keep in mind that the customer doesn't work with this equipment day in and day out. I've met homeowners who can't even tell you if they use oil or propane, never mind the function of an air conditioner condenser coil or an oil feed line. So keep things on their level so that they can follow along with your expectations. I'm just going to check the chat really quick because it looks like we may possibly have a sound issue. Judy, are you having any issues with hearing the sound? If not, I guess we'll carry it.
I'm not.
Okay.
Oh, a couple of them
Okay,
responded.
great. We're all set. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much. All right, so next Speaking of keeping things simple, I have put together a little game for us today. This is a little drill, I guess you could say, to help us kind of flex our brain muscles and keep things simple for customers. Just it's like a fun way to practice that. So it's called Explain Like I'm Five. And the goal is to take a complex topic and break it down into a simple summary that a 5-year-old child can understand. So today we're going to try to guess some famous movie titles based on a couple silly little descriptions I put together. So first one, space monks with glow sticks argue about feelings while one family keeps causing fights. Anyone? Put your guesses in the chat. I'll give you a second here. Okay, 3, 2, 1. If you guessed Star Wars, you'd be correct. Let's try another one. A tornado yeets a Kansas teenager into a sparkly dream where ugly shoes solve every problem. This one's a bit of a gimme, guys. You can get this one for sure. Wizard of Oz is correct, of course. What else could it be? Last one. The mayor of a small town keeps saying, "It's probably fine," while a massive shark snacks on beachgoers. Anyone? What is Jaws? All right, let me know in the comments how many you got right. I would challenge you and your employees to kind of use this game to think about your favorite movies or books or anything and summarize them into a single sentence. This is a great way to practice simplifying concepts into bite-sized snippets that your customers will be able to follow along with. All right, and one more piece about simplification. This is the best way, in my opinion, to keep things simple and straightforward. Solution-oriented thinking. Okay, stop, pause, wake up. This is the most important slide that I will share. So take a screenshot of this one, print it out, hang it up, let it marinate, get it tattooed, whatever you need to do, because this is something that you're going to be able to carry into all areas of your career and your personal life. And that is this. If you notice a problem, don't bring the problem to the homeowner. Bring the solution to the problem and ask them if that sounds like a satisfactory resolution. They don't want to hear problems. They have enough problems. Trust me, they do. We all do. They want to hear solutions. So rather than telling the customer the air filter is clogged and the system shut down, instead tell them they need a new air filter and you have one with you. Rather than letting them know they're out of oil and their system won't work right now, let them know their tank needs to be refilled and you'll call dispatch right away. Don't tell them they have a copper feed line buried in concrete which has corroded. Instead, let them know you have an easy and affordable update that will get their oil system back up and running. If you take this concept to heart and start employing it with your customers, your boss, your friends, your family, I promise you will be amazed at the results that it gets you. I've done this countless times in my career, and 99 times out of 100, people agree to the solution that you suggest. And for the 1% of the time they don't agree, the suggestion will spark inspiration so that they can come up with a solution of their own. All right, next I want to touch on strengthening communication, which can help us to avoid misunderstandings with the customer and also other employees. The main idea here is to balance hard skills and knowledge with soft skills and emotional intelligence. So in the left column, I've outlined some technical knowledge that you'll likely have to employ when speaking with customers, things like oil, propane, HVAC services, and company-specific offerings related to your, area and expertise. And then on the right, you can see soft skills that you'll need to combine with your technical knowledge to help customers of varying backgrounds and educations understand your initiative. These are things like objection handling, escalations and negotiations, retention, and an understanding of your company's goals. These will all come into play at one point or another. Being able to use these two columns of skills in tandem is going to help show customers that they can trust you with both their equipment and their, everything else, safety, comfort, wallet. I could go on. Let's take it a step further. There are two ways we can handle any customer inquiry. We can, one, be an order taker, assume we know what they want, get through the call as quickly as possible, picture them as an average customer. I don't recommend this. Instead, let's shift our mindset into viewing each customer interaction as a chance to establish ourselves and the company as a trusted advisor. If we slow down and take a moment to review the account, understand their problem, assure them we can help, and empathize with their struggles, they're going to feel safe and comfortable and keep coming back for more. Also, it's okay to remind customers that you are a homeowner, you are a human. This is what you would do. Hi, Mrs. Jones. Yeah, I understand your concerns about price. Did you know we offer a budget plan? I'm on one myself. It's kind of like a gym membership. It's easy to work in with your other monthly bills. Or, hi, Mrs. Jones. I see that I see heating system maintenance like myself, like my annual car inspection. You just keep it up and running, clean it up a little bit, make sure everything's working well, catch small issues before they turn into big problems, and so on. Or I have a programmable thermostat myself. Here's how I use it. Look, you can see it on my phone. Here's my temperature. I can adjust it right now from here. Turn it from a conversation between a salesperson and a customer into a conversation between two peers, two neighbors. All right, we're going to dive into conflict resolution next. So I want to kickstart this discussion with the value of a penny, because I know that a lot of us sometimes resort to giving customers money off their order as a means of appeasing them. But I think it's important to kind of zoom out and see how this affects the company as a whole so that we can visualize why considering other options may be a better first move. So let's assume you speak to, let's say, an average of around 50 customers a day and offer maybe half of them a 15-cent discount for one reason or another. Now, let's say each of those customers ordered 200 gallons of fuel at $2.65 a gallon. So the new price would be $2.50 a gallon. Now, not my non-math people, stick with me. I'm one of you. I know it's painful. It will be over soon. So the company's original income would be $13,250. And the new income after the discount would be $12,500. So this means we have a loss of $750 in one day. If we do this every day, that would be a loss of almost $4,000 in 1 week. And if we look at a whole business month, that's a loss of $15,000. So it adds up fast. So I'm just suggesting not to be too quick to offer a discount as a way of satisfying the customer, because there are other ways that I can share with you now. I hear your thoughts. Jody, it's easier for you to say not to give customers discounts. But what do you say on the phone to de-escalate the situation when they're angry? I understand price is and always will be a common concern, especially these days. But we do have some other methods for how we can turn a negative situation around that don't involve, price discounts immediately. We can kind of save that as more of a last resort. So the first problem here is customers not understanding the value of your services. I sometimes see customers comparing oil companies to the gas station. The response to that would be reminding them you're not a gas station. There's a lot more that goes into oil delivery, such as, your outstanding customer service, your reliable delivery in all weather, your HVAC service offerings, emergency customer care, and more. Take pride in the value that you offer. You're a family-owned business who provides excellent service. That's more than a gas station gets you, right? So it's okay to remind the customer of this. Another problem we see a lot is the customers just want the best price per gallon. So they're shopping around, As a response to this, we can negotiate. I hear you, Mrs. Jones. I can knock down the price by 5 cents a gallon if you increase your order to X number of gallons. Insert your company gallonage for volume discounts here. Would that be of interest to you? Our main goal here is to get to the root of the problem. So introducing flexible pricing options or budget plans. I'd love to talk with you, Mrs. Jones, about some of our cost savings and flexible payment options. Or, Mrs. Jones, I hear you want to keep your bills under X amount. Did you know we offer a no-fee budget plan that allows you to spread your payments over low monthly installments? Start the conversation. Maybe they don't even know that it's an option. And then lastly, sometimes, and you may be surprised to hear me say this, you might have to let the customer know that your company might not be the right fit for them. Mrs. Jones, I completely hear you when you mention price. We have seen an increase in costs lately due to high demand and fluctuating market conditions. So, unfortunately, we can't come down anymore without spreading ourselves too thin and lessening value for our customers. If that doesn't work for you, I'm sure there are some other companies who may be able to help you out. Diving further into professional conflict resolution, you can kind of see during that last slide that basic, professional conflict resolution follows a formula. First, we need to apologize for them having to deal with the problem, listen to their concerns, assure them that they've come to the right place, and find a solution that will turn things around. So let's take a closer look at what each of these involves. Apologize. Yes, I know. Even if you didn't do anything wrong, maybe the company isn't even the one at fault, right? You still got to apologize. It disarms the customer, it shows them they have been heard, and it softens them for the rest of the conversation. Plus, it shows our humanity, right? We recognize that they feel as if they've been wronged, and we acknowledge the negative impact that they've had to deal with. You can still apologize, even if it's not your fault or the company's fault, and let them know that you're sorry they had to deal with this. It really does make them feel better. Next, another form of effective and professional conflict resolution is through active listening. Honing our listening skills can diffuse the situation instead of escalating it. This means a few things: deciding to pay 100% attention to the customer, welcoming them, thanking them for calling, and trusting your company with the task at hand. No multitasking. This is a hard one, I know, but it's critical. We as humans sometimes think we can do multiple things at the same time and do them all well, but we can't. We really got to focus on one thing at a time. Keeping an open mind. Don't start mentally formulating your response before they've finished what they're saying. Providing verbal feedback, okay, Mrs. Jones, yep, I hear you. My understanding is, these are all verbal cues that you're picking up what they're putting down. And then taking notes. They say the shortest pencil is better than the longest memory. Another part of listening is recognizing how their feelings are playing into the conversation. In this example on screen, the technician didn't show up during the window that they said they would. Acknowledging the customer's sacrifice and frustration can diffuse the situation and make them realize that you understand where they're coming from, and you would be frustrated if this happened to you too. Get on their side, make them feel like you're part of their team. All right, customers call because they need something. So we need to assure them that we know what they need. Repeat their request back to them so that they know you understand what they're looking for. Along with helping them feel confident that you understood their request, this also gives them an opportunity to add more details or correct something that maybe they weren't clear about the first time. And assure them that they're in the right place and you will be able to help them. Recently, I booked a flight with Air Canada, and I paid extra to choose 2 specific seats so that my husband and I could sit next to each other. Now, during confirmation, I got a message like, hey, only one of your seats was available, so we refunded the cost of the second seat to you. But what good is one seat if the other is randomly on the plane somewhere else? Naturally, I called customer service, and the representative listened to my dilemma, and she said to me, I understand you're trying to reserve 2 seats together, and one alone does you no good. Well, luckily, you were connected with me, and this is something I'll be happy to help you with. And I was like, yes, thank you. This made me feel heard and confident in her abilities to fix the issue, and she did. She fixed it. Easy peasy. All right, a little sidebar here before we get to the solution phase of the situation that I mentioned. So oftentimes the customer will attempt to escalate the issue with a manager, right? If they don't get the answer they want from you. Now, many employees I've met are more than happy to pass along the angry customer, but your management will love you forever if you're able to put out small fires on your own. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times when escalation will be necessary, but I would encourage you to, try to handle the inquiry whenever possible. You can say things like, if they ask for a manager, Mrs. Jones, in the past, I've found that people usually want to talk to a manager because they feel like they can give them a better deal than I can. However, our management has recently empowered us to be able to handle these situations. What solution are you hoping a manager will be able to provide today? This will help you see what the customer really wants deep down, and you can determine at that point if it's something that you are able to offer. If you can't offer it, try to meet them in the middle and compromise in the direction of what they're looking for. So again, it goes back to figuring out the root of the problem, as we discussed earlier, in regards to price concerns, and go from there. Okay, last step of the formula, solution. We talked earlier about solution-oriented thinking. Remember the tattoo thing? Always use previous experiences and knowledge to provide a suggested solution to the customer, which they can choose at that point whether they want to accept or counter. And always do your very best to provide this during your first conversation with them. If you can't provide one call resolution, let the customer know you'll follow up and then get back to them on time. Again, even if it's just with an update. Also, being sure to get all the details of the request right away from them if you can't resolve it. That way you'll be able to answer follow-up questions from your team when you take it offline and escalate it. Okay, next I want to talk about something that looks small, but it feels huge and not in a good way. As a customer, have you ever heard phrases like, oh, I wish I could help, or oh, the best I can do is, or oh, I'm not able to do that? There's nothing worse as a frustrated customer. If you want your customers to continue being your customers, avoid making them feel like this. Luckily, the fix is easy. You can just pivot your wording. Those phrases can escalate a customer's attitude and anger, which is going to make the conflict resolution even more challenging. They may get defensive, demand to speak to a manager, or start to want more than they had originally asked for. Luckily, we can just adjust our phrasing. Again, instead of saying all I can do is, we need to phrase it in a positive way. What I can do for you is, what I can do for you is XYZ. It really is that simple. Also, I want to mention it's okay to stand up for yourself if things get heated. Sometimes things intensify to a point where they need to be cooled down before we can even start with that formula we talked about. For these cases, empower your staff with language such as, Mrs. Jones, I would love to help provide a resolution here, but in order to do so, I'm going to have to ask that you stop yelling. Or, Mrs. Jones, if you continue to speak to me this way, I will have no choice but to hang up the phone. Providing employees with this type of wording is going to improve employee retention and job satisfaction because nobody wants to be a punching bag. Teach them a dignified way to handle this type of situation so that they're prepared. All right, we're getting to the end of our lunch hour here, so let's start to land this plane. Here are some actionable strategies you can use to keep customers coming back for more. First of all, make an incredible first impression. Always be presentable, introduce yourself, shake their hand, thank them for trusting your company. Next, listen to what they say and recommend products and services that will improve their personal experience. You can use phrases like, Mrs. Jones, it sounds like not having to worry about price would be beneficial to you. Or it sounds like not needing to order fuel manually would help with your busy schedule. Or, oh yeah, has this been an issue with another fuel company you've worked with before? Or are you familiar with our budget plan program? Next, use storytelling. Two different ways you can implement this. First is to empathize and relate to them. Mrs. Jones, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. Back when I was living in Maine, I ran out of fuel before too. It was so stressful. I'll be happy to help with this so that we can avoid a situation like that. I would hate for you to have to deal with something like that. Or you can tell a story about when you've solved a similar situation in the past. Mrs. Jones, I am so glad you were connected with me today. I actually just had another customer last week who also forgot their portal password. I'll be more than happy to help you with this. And then consider customer integration and loyalty and look for more ways to move them up the ladder to the top tier. Top tier would be like auto delivery, service plan, auto pay customers, your favorites. If they only order once a year, ask them if they know about your other services like HVAC care and automatic delivery. If they're on will call, again, get them on automatic. If they're already on auto, recommend a budget plan. If they're on a budget plan, bundle in a service plan with that. If they're satisfied, ask them to refer their friends or write a review. The main idea here is always to be looking for the next opportunity and letting their conversation guide your recommendations so that you're suggesting services that will truly provide value for them. All right, action items that you can implement immediately. First, collaborate with personnel to come up with some answers to frequently asked questions. Come up with an introductory and closing script to make sure people have all the most important points in front of them. And then work into the end of the script. Mrs. Jones, is there anything else I can help you with today before we wrap up? Or have I addressed all of your concerns today? Or while I have you, I wanted to let you know that we actually have a customer portal where you can check these invoices at any time. I'm also happy to help, of course, but this will allow you to check even if maybe it's nighttime and you can't get connected with me. Or thank you so much for calling in today. Have I answered all of your questions? Yes? Oh, great. Would you be willing to leave us a review on Google or Facebook? If so, I can email you a link right now. Make it easy for them. Have regular role plays with fellow CSRs about how to handle certain situations. It can feel a little uncomfortable at first, but it provides real life example that's more low stakes of how the conversation might flow. And it makes it much easier when you get on the phone with the customer. Make it a habit to offer value add services that contribute to our customer needs or concerns. Again, going back to active listening and addressing the root of the problem. Mrs. Jones, you mentioned that you travel a lot. Have you looked into having your tank filled automatically? And then keep in mind the 5 S's. Smile, even on the phone, customers can hear the difference. Speak softly. Keep answers short and friendly without rambling. Keep it simple, don't overcomplicate things. And slow. You may explain water heater flushes multiple times a day, but this might be the very first time the customer is ever hearing about it, so they need some time to process. Next, let them know how you are working to solve the issue that they called in about. Remember, they usually can't see you or see what you're doing, so talk them through the silence. Sure thing, Mrs. Jones, I'm pulling up your account right now so I can check the last time you got a delivery. And lastly, low-hanging fruit here, use their name. Never underestimate how much people love hearing their name. So, I am no salesperson, but if you want to save a lot of time and energy when implementing these upgraded customer service strategies, our marketing agency does have a lot of experience in this field. So, a couple of things we offer that may be able to help you. Customer service training. We offer on-site customer service training, much like this webinar, but we come to you and we work directly with your team. So we do role-playing interactions, like I mentioned. We pretend to be the customers, hypothetical situations, talk through examples, that type of thing. And then focus groups go hand in hand with this. So all of our customer service trainings start with focus groups with your employees to learn sticking points that they maybe aren't quite comfortable sharing with you directly. We take these, we go home, we shape the feedback into direction for your training, and then we, come back later to do the training and save time and energy on your end since we focus on the areas that will be most valuable to you. And then we also develop standout websites that present a great face for new and existing customers alike. A great website shows that you're trustworthy and that you invest time and energy into your business. A bad website, on the other hand, can feel fake or scammy, especially for the upcoming generation of homeowners who have grown up with this stuff and they expect a site that's up to snuff. And then, of course, we can also provide digital or print marketing tailored toward your company goals. By taking marketing off your plate and doing all the heavy lifting, you can focus on what you do best, serving your customers. That's why you're on here today. You obviously care about serving them well. You also don't have to spend time educating us about the industry because we work with companies like yours every single day. And then lastly, we offer complimentary consulting services and recommendations with every one of our marketing packages based on, our experience in the industry. We can consult with you about the ins and outs of delivery fees or what types of incentives tend to work or how to get more 5-star reviews, that type of thing. So if any of these pique your interest, feel free to get in touch with me, or you can always visit consumerfocusmarketing.com. So, all right, it's time to open the floor in case we have any questions. So please take a minute now to put them in the question box if you haven't already. Sometimes people ask me what the best place to start is when training customer service representatives. So I'll just talk for a second on this to give people a chance to put questions in. I would say there's tons of free resources out there that you can use. So have staff sign up for a short course or, a webinar like this, or show videos at your safety meetings. If you want something comprehensive and tailored to the industry, that's maybe when you would consider reaching out to someone like us so that we can help you. You can also spend some time reflecting on your own CSR conversations, on the phones, and finding areas to guide training and improvement, upselling those value add programs, handling complaints, that type of thing. Just one more quick story. Just recently, I was in a waiting room at the doctor's office, and I was sitting near the front desk and kind of accidentally overheard the receptionist. They said, they asked the patient if they had a primary care physician, and the patient said, "No, I don't have one right now. I'm looking for one." Obviously, I expected the rep to say, "Oh, let me email you a list of providers, in our network who are accepting new patients." She did not. She just moved on to the next question. So as you can see, the improvement opportunities are endless. So, Judy, are there any questions in the chat?
How do you handle CSRs from judging and complaining how another CSR handles a customer?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Yeah. So I would say that if you are able to get the team together and have these customer service trainings together in person, whether that's showing a webinar at your safety meeting or hosting a employee training with consumer focus, anything like that, I think that will potentially help with that, because if everyone is doing their own research, they're all going to have different ideas, right, for how to handle customers. So if, I'm a CSR and I hear my coworker next to me on the phones, handling a situation differently than I would, I might be like, oh, yikes, like they're not very good at this. And that's going to cause some contention within the team, which is never something that you want. So I think that bringing everybody together for customer service training, whether it's, organized or in terms of like bringing in a third party like us, or, showing the same type of training at your internal meetings, is going to get everybody on the same page so that we kind of all have the same idea of how we want to handle the customer concerns. Great question.
I think that is it. And I really want to thank Jody. Very good webinar. And appreciate it very much, and appreciate everybody attending this session. And if you're not yet a member of Women in Energy, please consider joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate you spending your lunch hour with me. Thank you, Women in Energy, for having me on. Here's how to connect with me. Let's stay in touch so that we can either, help each other with customer service. We can discuss more ridiculous sentence-long summaries of iconic media, or, we'll just help each other build up in this competitive landscape together. So thank you so much. Hope everyone has a